Hey there guys, in video 1 I got to cover something real quick. I missed the safeties, so you guys could probably figure it out, but the strong safety, the guy who covers Gronk, needs to be a taller guy. Chancellor definitely fits the bill. You want somebody who's tall and who has some hit power and can jump and break up plays against the tight end, which is the number one thing to try to do. It doesn't always work, that's for sure, against Gronk and Olsen, but I do get a fair number of plays made by Chancellor, and some of it has to do with his size. He's also very fast. The thing that is a little bit lower on this card than the usual Chancellor card is the strength. Not quite as strong, but the hit power is decent. Play recognition is decent. Catch, which was a little bit better, but that's the best card for the time being to do that, other than, maybe Boss Dawkins, even though he's shorter or something like that. And I don't think even that Dawkins card is an endgame card at strong safety. At free safety, having some athletic ability, good coverage, like an Ed Reed type of card. This isn't a great card, but I do see a fair amount of plays made by this card. And so, for the time being, he'll be replaced by a positional hero, I'm sure, or maybe another player, depending on what EA comes out with promos. But for the time being, this card definitely does the job at free safety in the Mitchell card here. Even though there's no other Steelers to really boost on the team besides Boswell, it's a pretty good card. Plays better than its stats, good for the time being. Not going to move to a Kraus or something that's more of a sideways upgrade. I'm going to look for a real upgrade at that position and save the coins for the time being. Alright, so that's that. Now we're going to get into our league-to-league drives for the day. We're playing number 27 Swag Mafia. We've seen a fair number of drives here. Most of our drives are in, and we're getting it handed to us. And in this video, what I want to point out is, I am not perfect. I'm not a perfect player by any means. I don't think that, I'm better than anybody else. I love my league. I love my guys. I just, for us, I want us to play a little bit better. And I think we have some opportunities and some ways to play better. So what we're going to do in this, while I would like to not single out anybody's drives, we're going to analyze things a little bit and see if there's any opportunities or any things that we could do, keeping in mind that everybody has their own style of play and things that they do really well. For example, I may get target fixated on plays, but also because of that, I've gotten good in terms of the timing of when to throw and what type of throw to make to jam the ball in those circumstances. I could read defenses a little bit better and look at the left side for sure. And then if nothing's there, also on plays like that, like cloud coverage and things like that, then maybe I need to take off and run a little bit more. That's something I need to do. For sure, get a little bit better about reading defenses. But, it's the type of thing where, I may see two options. If option one isn't open, I'll go to two. And then starting to work a third option in there. And depending on the plays, like curls, I might be looking at a third or a fourth option. Looking tight end, either wide receiver, and then halfback, for example. And the more I play and the better I get, the better I'll get at making the correct read in terms of figuring out what I need to do. And there's a bunch of plays that I don't run too. My play selection is still somewhat limited. I know that people are running trips, corner, strike to great effect, and I don't use the play well enough at all. So I need to work on that in season, maybe play some guys in the league, then maybe try it out in Hall of Fame, and then maybe get comfortable enough to use these plays in league drives, and that's what I need to do. But in terms of what we need to do as a team, there's a couple things that I see in general that I see a lot of guys do. The first thing that I see a lot of guys do are repeating 100% countered plays. And, you have to have something in your mind where if you see that play countered 100%, even if you get away with it, it's a low severity. If it happens again, a lot of times it is a critical. And, you won't get the same kind of results out of it. So, that's one thing that we need to do as a league. Not repeat countered plays in drives afterwards. Then another thing that we need to do, I think, as a league, is that we're using plays a lot of times. We're going to plays, first off, that are very frequently countered. A lot of us are. We're using plays that are very, very good, strong PA tight end corner, dive weak, things like that. But a lot of times the plays are countered, so we're not setting up our drive right to begin with. Then the other thing is, we'll mix in the pass and the run, but we're either too run dependent and therefore, catching counters here and there and get ourselves into trouble and we get our drive stopped. Or we go really long, which now with the changes to league, people are increasingly getting picked off and they end up being in situations where, they get more and more trouble and they got to go deep. And having a way to be a little bit more patient and having kind of an in-between game might be a help. So let's get into it. And first of all, with these guys too, actually, we're going to get into that at the end. We're going to leave Swag Mafia alone for the time being, and then we'll touch on it at the end. But our drives for the day. So Papa didn't have a good day, as you could see with 3. He was not happy about it. One thing that we do in our league, is we will play the same guy. We ideally want to play the same guy 3 times, to get used to their defense and their counter setups and how the defense plays and things that we could do against them and things that we can't really do, and just kind of adapt to that one team. We think that's the better way to go. I know other teams will scout. They will, send in one player to take one drive against a guy, and then another 1 or 2 guys will take drives against him, trying to follow what the first guy did if he was successful. Ideally, the first guy being the better player, right? And really, or at least if he doesn't play well, you could see some of the things, show the other guys what counters, what kind of setup they're facing. Because usually, it'll be the same setup for all players. Not many leagues will go through and have individual setups for individual guys based on those 3 plays that they're showing right there. So, us being used to that when you have to play 2 guys and start over, is a little bit of a challenge. I personally like it. I just start all over and, just reset your mind and, start a normal drive. And I have my little things that I'll do to try to figure out what kind of defense I'm playing and then try to take advantage of it. But it does, I think, make it a little bit more difficult. Now, the other thing that makes it tough against number 27 here is these guys, especially if you're playing in the daytime, it's very likely to live counter you. So the other thing is having an ability to adapt to that and change gears when you need to and realize, everything I did before I did this, and this play, can't run this because now I'm facing a totally different set of counters based on what I did and maybe based on what they think I will do. And still taking into account that, common plays are common plays and a lot of times they're countered. So first thing actually before going into Papa Raiders drive is we're going to go into my drives and, I'm not trying to pat myself in the back at all. But, what I do in drives. You guys have seen it in head to head, and I've got a certain method in the way of playing drives, and it's actually translated fairly well into the changes that they've made in league to league. And the reason why is in the Hall of Fame, you guys have seen what I do. Short passing, total Bill Walsh football, underneath patterns, crossing routes, slants, quick outs, curls, flats, those types of plays, are what I look for. Quick developing plays where I could dump the ball off, where one guy will be open maybe 70 to 80% of the time, and when he's not, something else will be open. And just reading based on that, fast developing plays. And then the other thing about it is if I do get countered, even on criticals, a lot of times I could get the ball off, unlike on play action plays, where on a critical you could hardly ever get rid of the ball, or you're lucky to not take a pretty big sack on it. So, that's what I try to do. And what I try to do too is, I'm adapting to what a lot of people shut down. Usually in Hall of Fame, it's very rare that you'll see me run dive week, for example. And we're going to look at counters too. At the end of this, we're going to look at the whole history of what's been going up against my soft counter unit, which has really been since the beginning of January, and I've never reset it. So we'll take a look at that. But with my drives, this is very typical for me. I will try a running play just to kind of see. And if I catch a soft counter, then I could see what the percentages are. And based on that, because if I'm facing an ultimate freeze setup, because the running and the passing are tied, for example, if it's a really high 40+% counter against the run, then I know the short passing may not be the way to go either, and that'll leave play action open, will be the least countered play, assuming it's a total ultimate freeze setup and not some kind of combo with some cards being ultimate freeze and then some hard counter cards on top of it. Okay, so, in this one, Bunch HB Dive was countered 100%. So, okay, this is a hard counter setup. What they told me right away is that, I shouldn't try Dive Weak or Strong or 20 or Blast or Strong Blast, even though one of them might be open. I don't think I should try to run any of those very common running plays, because this guy might be geared to purely shutting down the run. So, that goes into my short passing game. Now, in this one, I will admit, this is a little bit impatient for me, going for FB flare to the tight end. And I did pull it off. I got picked the other day using the same play by that new Slay card. But I did pull it off, and it wasn't countered on 2nd and 13. But from there, you'll see that I would still like to get a running play in here and there just to know I have one for another drive on a 2nd and short type of situation or something like that. So you'll see me do that a lot. But, you won't see me using I-20 or Blast or Dive Weak or Strong Blast, the real common running plays, because I assume that until I see a soft counter on something else or run into a hard counter somewhere else, that he's geared to take down the run, because that's not a real frequently countered play. It's a good running play. It's not as good as Dive Weak or Strong Blast or Blast, but it's a good running play. But I assumed at that point that he's working to shut down the run. So I get out of that, and, so I get the first down, and then cross in, I get an incomplete. I think that CJ2K dropped it. And then spread FL drag. I'm continuing something that I did before now, because one thing about running the short passing plays, and if you just take the outlet or the underneath guy who's going to be open a lot, you don't get a lot of yards out of it. The more plays that you run, the more the soft counters can catch up to you. So I've been increasingly trying to truck with Olsen or make people miss with diagonal speed, which is what I did on this particular play. I didn't have to truck anybody, but I did use diagonal speed to run back to the middle of the field and then back out and made the defender miss. And then, I kicked the PAT because I was facing a 103 defense, and even uncountered on toss or curls flats or one of the other plays, a lot of times they break it up. So, I'll take the one in that situation. Second drive against the same guy, Joe Mama. Running cross in, and I finally catch a soft on a short passing play, 17%er, but it's the type of play, even on a medium, a lot of times the tight end will get separation. And he certainly got enough on that play, and I got a first down out of it. Then strong IFB middle, something you see me run a lot in my videos, to Sherman. Look for Sherman, and if they're bunching up in the middle of the field in a short zone coverage, then look to the outside to that out pattern to the tight end. Sherman was open. Second and inches, I catch a critical, and here's the beauty of the short passing plays. You can't really do that with a play action play. On a critical, you usually take a sack. In this case, curls flats, I dump it off to Olsen, he catches it and get 7 yards and a first down. Trips tight end stick, looking for the slot, which is actually on the right side of the field, running a quick out to Gronk, 19 yards, then throwing in another running play. So put my toe in the water on first down and running pitch. And the thing about pitch now, with the counter severity, now diagonal speed has changed this play now, because anything but a critical, which is usually the defensive end jumping the play, the weak side defensive end, and tackling the halfback in the backfield for usually a 4 or 5 yard loss, a lot of times they'll stack that side, but they won't rush right in. And actually, it's better than an uncountered look at this. A lot of times you could get 15 to 20 yards out of the play, more if you make one of the corners or the safety miss on that play. So anything but a critical is not bad. And first down was the time to try it. Then double slants, not very frequently countered, get the outlet to Olsen. And then that flipped spread FL drag, which you can only counter with a bronze card or a soft counter. That's the only way you could counter it. There's no gold double counter card with this on there. So if they're taking down spread FL drag, which is a very dangerous play, very reliable play, especially when you flip it, in my opinion. Even if you do that, then you're leaving another play open in a hard counter unit. So there's got to be something else open. In this case, though, I didn't get a real good look, to be honest with you. I was at about let's see, where was I? About the 13-yard line. And the tight end out didn't develop in that little crossing pattern. Wide receiver one wasn't looking really good too. They were really stacking up in man coverage on that right side and with help. And then Sanders, who's definitely the third option on that one, crossed all the way across the field and was all alone on the play for the touchdown. So I got it to him. That was kind of almost a bullet, but a little something taken off, and then kicking the field goal. And then CJ2K drops again. I get the better look to the halfback, but he drops it. Go right to the spread FL drag. I want it back right then. Then strong IFB middle, get a good completion to Sherman. go to that. That's the first way I look, and the second is tight end. Run pitch again, uncountered, and then trips, to Gronk to pick up the first down. And then I get a little bit unlucky and catch two softies under 20%, and they're criticals, both of them. First down, double slants, get sacked. I had already run, spread FL drag. That's normally what I would try, but on second and long, that increases the chances of that play being countered. So I go to flare and I take another critical for a sack. And then I went, this is the Hail Mary, weak eye dig. And Olsen comes down with it in the end zone, makes a great play, goes up and gets it, and I get the touchdown. What you'll notice about my drives, and this is, again, not me saying I'm better than anybody else, but everybody's got their own style of playing, is if you look at these drives, first, second, first, second, first, second, first, second, first. It isn't until drive 3 that I get down to third down. And the only reason I do is because I catch two critical soft counters that aren't very high percentages. They just happen to both fire back to back. Put me in that situation. And then I go for the big play and go to Olsen, who's pretty reliable, on the go route for the touchdown. So that is what I did. Didn't really go to too many running plays once I found one that I could get something out of, and get a little bit of yardage. Then that puts a very manageable 2nd and 3. I could even run like a fullback dive or tried something like that, but I didn't want to catch the risk of that being countered if the guy is stacking the run really hard. So I just kind of, went with trips, tight end, stick. But that was my thoughts and what I did on my drives. And, the thing is, in all of this, is that Joe Mama did not live counter me. So, but using the short passing plays, like cross in as the first play, even though I didn't make anything out of it in drive 3, usually what will happen if you get live countered is the 7 points or 8 points will go up. Then somebody sees it, communicates to the other guy, hey, somebody's playing you, but by that time you're already in the second drive doing the same thing. And then they'll set up their counters and counter the third drive. That's what happens most frequently. With that being the case, running cross in, anything but a critical, I could still get a first down with cross in countered. If I catch a critical, usually I could get rid of the football and throw it into the rushing lineman for an incomplete pass and see the 100%er and say, okay, I'm being live countered. Time to forget everything that I did. Actually remember everything I did and not run the same plays again. I better go a different direction altogether. And you got to be ready to do that. And the short passing plays give me a good opportunity to not get into too much trouble when I catch a live counter, is one thing that I found. Now getting into my teammates, so Poperator here. And one thing I'll say about Poperator, he's a warrior. He tries. He's a very good player. He doesn't get to play, I don't think, as much as he would like to or as much as he did last year. Real life is just real life. It catches up to you. He's got a very full plate, I'll put it that way, and a lot of stuff going on, and he still never misses drives. He plays no matter what. But because he doesn't get to play as much as I think he would like to, given the circumstances, it puts him into a rough spot sometimes. And I know, and he's got a YouTube channel that's in my, subscriptions, and it's in my channels. But I know that he plays the the game a different way than I do. He did play football, which I didn't in high school, so he's got a little bit of knowledge about the game that I don't have. But because he doesn't get to play as much as I think he'd like to, he's not able to evolve his game as much as maybe he would like to, I would say. So we could see what I call two of the big three in his top plays, at least in the film. And then one that's a little bit off, that was more overpowered last year. This was smash before they changed it, with that halfback blowing by the coverage, and a bullet pass on that right side was so overpowered. Eventually, everybody had to counter it, and then people had to change what they were doing. Then EA broke the play a little bit, and the guy didn't run as good as a pattern. A lot of times he'd run 10 yards and turn around and hitch up or whatever. So they kind of changed that play a little bit, but before they changed it, it was absolutely overpowered. And if it was uncountered on first down, a lot of times you would get a look where, that halfback just blows right by the coverage like he was nailed to the ground. You just nail him with a bullet pass in stride. And if you got somebody with some wheels at halfback, you would just break it for a touchdown. This year it's a little bit different. And I don't use the play much. I never did use the play much last year either. But one of the things that I need to work on, because it's in that short passing tree that I like to use for sure. But anyway, so his drive's against the hammer here. He runs bunch dive, but he doesn't run into the hard counter the way I did. Weak gut. This is another good running play that isn't as countered as much as, say, dive weak or blast or strong blast. Slant 18's pretty frequently countered, but he gets away with it, and he gets 16 yards. Then he tries dive weak, trying again to run the football, not wanting to throw picks with the changes, and he finally does run into a critical, gets a yard out of it. Strong twins, another one. This is pretty frequently countered, though. It's not countered against this particular game plan that he's playing against, so he gets 8 yards. But the third one, so he runs a FB dive. Not a bad down in situation to use that on. I wouldn't run it on fourth down because a lot of times you get a run blitz, and they'll just stuff up the middle even if it's uncountered. Then he tries blast, and blast, of course, is very common play. It's from last year, and I believe it was from the first year, too. That's countered 100%. So he takes a loss there. Slant 18, he gets 5 yards back, so that's the second time he runs slant in the drive, and really shouldn't run plays more than 2 times. And then he runs Y-stick, and Y-stick got me OBJ last year. I think I was using Y-stick before a lot of people did, and especially when you could spam the play. Most defensive looks, you could get that tight end, and if you couldn't get the tight end, you could get the halfback. And really how I played it, I would roll and extend the play and get the tight end one way or another. I would time that play. Target fixated, but making the right kind of throw at the right time, I guess you would say. Even though I was basically looking at one guy. But, it's really good for picking up 7 to 10 yards, maybe more if he breaks the tackle. And even on this, on a medium, he still completes and gets 7 yards. Then again, he gets lucky. He runs on fourth down here. He runs FB dive for the second time. Again, considering, enough running plays are countered that his chances were pretty high at getting countered. And if it was a critical, no way he gets 5 yards. Even if a medium or low, he's probably not going to get 5 yards. This is a play right here where he needs that spread FL drag that I run or something like it. Maybe slants. Maybe trips tight end stick. One of those short passing plays on 4th and 1 instead of running FB dive again. Then bunch dive he runs. I don't know if he had run that one yet. Yeah, he ran it his first play of the drive. So it doesn't catch countered again. But once again, anytime the second time you use a play, you increase your probabilities of getting countered. And then the third time, a lot of times you'll catch a counter. Okay, so weak gut, he runs the second time too. Catches 17%. So it's not a real high percentage against the run. Still gets 4 yards out of it. Run slant 18 again. Third time he got very lucky on this play that he didn't catch a counter and at that a critical. Then he tries Y stick again, even though it was hard countered. And this is one of those things that I'm talking about where you have to have other plays in your arsenal. If you know that play is taken down, take it off the list of ones to run, And again, I'm not perfect either. I forget, things, when I'm countered sometimes, but I do try to pay attention to it. And even if I got away with it the first time, I got 7 yards, time to put that one in the bag, as they say. Put it back in the bag. Don't bring it back out. Strong blast. He gets lucky here because this one is countered so much that it's almost gotten to the point where people are taking it back out of counters because a lot of people don't run it anymore. But second and goal, then he runs FB dive, I believe, for a third time and catches a critical for loss, and then he kicks the field goal. Once again, on this, instead of this play, okay, they kicks the field goal, 4th and goal, but spread FL drag flipped to the tight end a lot of times will be uncountered and get you a touchdown in that situation, among other plays too. Second drive, now he's playing a different defense, and this is one thing, Now he's got to do everything all over again. So this is a total different setup and set of counters. So slant 18, he gets 6 yards. Again, trying to pound it, run the football. Strong twins dive. Once again, 100% countered, and then tries Y stick. Catches a critical, incomplete. And smash play selection on this. And see, the thing is, he's better running smash than I am, and I know that for a fact. I think from what I know of this play on 4th down, it's a tough play because if that halfback doesn't develop quickly, if he draws coverage, and everybody kind of blitzes, which they do a lot on 4th down like that, you get a lot of pass rush, the tackles and the guards stop blocking as well, and kind of do the old Olay thing. The play becomes kind of a mess. And there's definitely better people than me at using this play in this situation. But basically, he got stopped short using smash on there. Again, flipped spread FL drag on 4th down probably would have been the best way to go. Another thing is, too, using Y stick. Just as an example, leagues a lot of times will tend to counter the same plays. And the reason why, like last year, for example, before the game plans and before you just selected 10 plays to counter, you had global counters, and then you could change them up in live counter more easily than you could this year, really. And you didn't have to pay for the cards, too. You just had to play the game. In a way, it was better. But at any rate, though, I started abusing the Y stick, so people started realizing, they better shut that play down. And then other guys in our league started abusing Y stick, and, we all started shutting down that play. And, that's what a league will do. So, when you have to face a second guy, which again is not ideal, we ideally want to play the same guy. And as well, one thing that we do as a league, and Randy always does too, is he'll take on the best available defense that he can. He will not chase the lowest overall trying to get the easiest time of it. He will go after the best defense that's available. Because of that, it's a little bit more challenging too. Probably playing a 103 defense here with a 101 offense. So a lot of the counters are going to be criticals, like these are. So that makes it a little bit tougher, but having only Y stick in the bag and not having spread FL drag, tight end stick, double slants. I know he knows how to run these plays, double slants, but he just, using this one and reaching in the bag first for Y stick when he gets into a jam, that's a very frequently countered play. And it's good to have plays that can get you the yards that you need on the 3rd and 5, but aren't countered all that much. Spread FL drag is definitely one of those plays. And then, at any rate, though, it's a smash play to Elliott, who gets stopped short and doesn't get a good look there. Now, playing the same player, he's going to switch it up. And, the running wasn't getting it done. He's kind of getting ground down by the counters. So he went to strong IPAFL middle. And the thing about that play is it's one of what I would call the big three. So how things have changed this year is potentially, depending on what defensive unit is in there, an opponent can now counter 12 plays instead of 10 from last year, which makes it more difficult, more plays to counter. And also there's the soft counters to take into account. This is a hard unit. You probably knew that by facing it, seeing these hundreds. It's a hard unit that he's facing. But the play that he selected to try to go after the defense right away happens to be a very frequently countered play and one of what I call the big three, which I was using a lot, but I've gotten to use that play less and less unless I'm going against a soft counter unit. If I can't do my short passing game, if he's got 3 run and short pass collectibles, ultimate freeze on me, I might try to go after him, and first down's the play to do it. In this case, it's countered 100%. Smash, he doesn't get the completion. Seam is a somewhat frequently countered play, but a good one to run on 3rd and 14th. But he catches a critical, not able to get out of it. Then he goes to Hail Mary, finds, play, long pass play. Probably underneath the safety to Efert. Very reliable in that play. Strong twins cross. Aha, we found a good one. One of the big three. The other one being strong PA tight end corner. That wasn't countered, but unfortunately he didn't get a good look and took a sack. The weak side defensive end play recognition a lot of times will be responsible for that. They don't bite on the play fake. You hand off the ball only to be sacked. Spread PA outs is a very good play in that situation. And on this one, 2nd and 17, I believe Jones is his 1. I want to say, so it's probably the out pattern. Yeah, Jones is his 1. So he went to the out pattern. That one, you got to be good. You got to time it and make the right kind of throw. Usually I'll look for the post, and hope for double coverage on wide receiver 1 and 2. And taking away more people from the middle of the field. And I'm looking for that post pattern more times than not. So that's kind of where I fixate on that play. But he gets it done to Jones. And then 3rd and 2, he rushes for 3 yards. And then 1st and 10, he tries the last of the big three. Strong PA tight end corner. And, the thing is, the guy's just not going to give it to you. A lot of times people are going to shut that play down. Even though it's been shut down so many times, people are starting to take it out of their defensive game plan sometimes. You can't assume that one's going to be given to you. Then weak guy dig, he gets it to Elliott. And Flair, he catches a critical, unfortunate, and then doesn't get a completion on Hail Mary. Good time he did a good job fighting as he does and trying to adapt and mix up his plays. But with Randy not getting to play as much as I'm sure he'd like I said, he hasn't been able to work other plays into what he likes to do and lean on those plays first instead of the plays that are powerful but very, very frequently countered. So that's what I would say about Randy. But, Randy is my guy. Poperator is my guy. I will stick by him. And, I'll stick by my league. In this video, I'm maybe being a little bit critical. Hopefully not too much. I just want to see us get better. And if there's things I could do better too, they can definitely give me that kind of feedback. I'm open to that as well. Okay, so Said here has struggled since the update, and Said, what Said does a lot of things really well. And I've seen his game evolve since last year when I started playing with Said. Said will mix it up. He'll try to run the football, but this year, since the November update, Said has been really good at taking those deep patterns, PA, all go, Hail Mary, HB option, I dig, the big three for the play action plays. He'll use those a lot, but since the update, he's been getting picked off more and more. And, it's been because the coverage is tougher with the update. So Said is now changing and he's going the other way. He's trying a little bit of what I'm doing and he tries to run the football a lot more. So dive week here, 100% countered, but it's a low severity, so he gets 11 yards. Then pitch, weak eye double counter, 6 yards. Then strong blast, 100. And then out of this play is the problem. So he goes from this play, which is very frequently countered, and he goes to another one that is very frequently countered. And unfortunately, both of them are criticals. So not a bad play on 2nd and 13, but the problem is unless I know that play is there and not hard countered, not the one I'm going to reach for, is what I would personally say about that play selection there. And that's what, a lot of times I don't execute the best. I don't see the whole field. I get target fixated. I don't run with the quarterback enough. All these things that I do wrong. But one thing that I do right a lot of times is play selection. Trying to set myself up with the right plays for the situation. In this particular one, it was not. Then post corners, he's going to go to one. Okay, I'm going to go to a play that isn't really frequently countered. But the reason it's not is because it's a more difficult play to run. I know people who run it with a lot of proficiency. Dairy Clown, who used to be in our league, was really good at running that play. Ativ is very good at running that play at times. But it is a tougher one. It is definitely a tougher one. You got to time that wide receiver 1 or 2 or get that tight end crossing in the middle of the field, and you got to time that pass and make the right kind of pass to that tight end to get it done. So he didn't get it done, and it's hard to get 18 yards anyways to the tight end. So it's a tough play to try to get out of a 3rd and 18. Next play is a really good one to run on a 4th or 3rd and long. But he catches a medium and gets sacked. Just bad luck, Just bad luck is what that is. And that's all that is. Not many people counter that hard. So just unfortunate there. Then second drive here. Is he playing the same guy? He is. So he goes to strong twins cross again. And here's what I was kind of saying at the beginning of the video. That was hard countered the last time. It's probably going to be hard countered again. Don't repeat the play. Remember what you ran and don't complete the play. Then he goes to strong IPA tight end corner and gets lucky. That one's countered a lot of the time. So, and if somebody usually counters one, they usually counter all 3. this play in FL middle too. But he does get the first down. Then dive weak, again countered 100%, and he tried that the first time, his first play of the first drive. So repeating countered plays, is something, that he has to work on. And then weak eye double counter, strong toss, trying to mix it up, run the football. Counter is a good play to run on first down. You're most likely to get something out of it on first down. Any kind of a blitz and the play fails is usually what I see. Strong IPA tight end corner. He tries it a second time, takes the sack, but then runs pitch. Gets the first down out of it. Not a bad play to run. Usually I will not run the football on 3rd and 16, but he does it. And then curls. He's trying to mix in another short passing play. Then he tries angle. And the thing about angle is that it's very frequently countered. That play to the tight end, if you get the right look, is, a touchdown. So a lot of people know, and it's a very, it was certainly in last year and might have been in year one. I don't know if it was in the first year, but I know it was in last year. And a lot of people like it, and a lot of people counter it. Tries cut back, catches the softy. Now, this is another unfortunate one, like slot flags was on the last one. He does get yards out of it, though, to the outlet, to Gordon. But catches 100% on slants middle. It's like, wow, who counters that play? But then spread FL drag. He probably flipped it, threw it to Gronk, 9 yards for a touchdown, kicks the field goal. Third drive here. Dive weak again, and it's still countered. Catches a softy on strong IPA tight end corner. So 3rd and 8. Gets it back with seam, which isn't really frequently countered. Not bad play selection there. Uses cross up, which is one of my favorite plays. Goes to the halfback, gets 8 yards. Tries to run it, catches a critical, or catches a low, soft counter. Gets a yard. 3rd and inches, Y stick. And it is uncountered, but he doesn't get a completion. He does pick it up on FB dive. Gutsy call. I would usually put it in the air on 4th and inches because a lot of times you'll get a run blitz. Then tight end corner. Again, frequently countered. So you got to be very careful. But first down's probably the place to try a play like that. And then curls flats. And I believe Sanders is wide receiver 2 for him. Finds the open man for the touchdown and gets the field goal. Good way to fight on his drives for sure. It's just a matter of, finding ways to mix in that short passing game and then, trying to adapt and doing something in between running and those long passing plays that I know he really likes to run. And actually, that is going to be it for the time being. I will post another video. We're running out of space here.